Hey guys, welcome to another MapleStory 2 guide video, and today we're going to have a guide on gemstones. Since Chaos Raids are coming out, a lot of you guys are probably wondering what are some other ways to increase your combat stats outside of your equipment and enhancing your equipment. Well, there is an alternative option for you if you haven't already known about it. I'm sure you've already seen these things around your time of playing MapleStory 2, but gemstones are essentially extra stat tokens you can put on your accessory pieces, your earrings, your pendant, and your ring. Initially, they don't seem to be very beneficial, but since we've hit kind of a plateau on how strong we can get, min-maxing is our best option, and gemstones can help you do that. By now you've noticed a bunch of weird tiny chests with what looks to have a jewel for a keyhole. Either they look wooden or in kind of a silvery material, right? These goodies hold gemstones and gem dust, which are super important for upgrading your gear beyond their usual strengths. Gemstones as a whole are pretty easy to come by since there's a bunch of ways you can get them. So I'll list them off one at a time, and if I miss any spots, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. First and probably most straightforward way to get gemstones is to do hard dungeons. Hard dungeons can occasionally drop gemstone boxes which either give you a gem dust or gemstone, both of which are important. On average, I say you can get maybe about 2 to 4 per 10 runs, but since it's double dungeon drops around the time this video is coming out, that's even higher. Since most people are farming dungeons, you're gonna likely run into the majority of your gemstone boxes here anyway. Another way to do it is to go through treasure dungeons. Treasure dungeons can only be entered using a special key made out of a rusted one. Rusted keys can be found by looking for golden chests throughout the Maple world, and then you exchange them to the NPC archaeologist Natalie, who looks nothing like an archaeologist. You look like you're going to school or sailing on a ship, come on. Alright, anyways, as I was saying, Natalie will give you either a B4 or a B1 key. B1 keys aren't that great, but B4 keys are awesome since you can usually get around 25 high-tier gemstone boxes which only provide gemstones and not gem dust. Gem dusts are good, but gemstones are a lot harder to come by, so these are better finds. I've never really done a B1 dungeon before, so I wouldn't know how it works, but I've done a couple B4 dungeons with my guildies, and the dungeons are really simple once you get the hang of it. To reach the bottom, which is your objective, your 4-man party needs to split up into pairs and diverge left and right, and then each pair has to diverge again to catch the 4 levers and activate them to reach the bottom. It's a bit on the long side to explain how to do them, but they're pretty intuitive, so once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. Some people sell B4 dungeon runs due to just how valuable they are and because they're not the most common thing you see, but there are often callouts of scammers in chat who take your money and kick you out of the party before you even go in. My suggestion is to only do B4 dungeons yourself or from people you trust like your friends or your guildmates. I personally wouldn't buy any dungeon runs, I would just wait for my friends to let me tag along, and they usually do. But if you want to sell one, then you can sell runs for about 1 to 2 mil each, though it is just better to go with buddies. Next way to get gemstones is to do the Toughen Up Daily missions, which I said in my daily quest video that they aren't that worth giving up a dungeon run to do so. However, they do give power mission boxes that can grant you gemstone boxes and gem dust. You might be asking, how do you do them without having to expend your valuable dungeon runs, as you don't have that much to begin with, and there's a way to do so. Max out your dungeon runs for the day before you do them. In other words, you gotta do 10 hard dungeons first before you can do these 3 extra dungeons for the Toughen Up Daily mission. It didn't cross my mind that you can do that when I made the daily missions guide, but once you reach your dungeon drop limit, you can keep doing dungeons, you just won't get any drops. That way you can still get the completion reward from the daily missions without actually having to expend the run. If you're part of a guild, and the guild is level 3 or higher, you can expend your guild coins that you get from doing daily missions, checking in, donating, to buy gemstone boxes from Mila who's in the guild house. They're pretty cheap too, but limited in stock, which I think refreshes every week. 2 more ways to get gemstones is to farm Trevas, which are a form of currency that you can find in Twisted Pocket realms. These things spawn in PvP zones when you kill elite monsters, which are usually indicated by red dots on the map. Then by entering these pocket realms, you just have to fight off a few waves of enemies, and then they drop some cool things like onyx crystals, but more importantly Trevas, which can be exchanged for gemstones in the shadow supply shop, which is in a safe house in one of the PvP zones. I believe it's called Obsidian Hills, or something with the word obsidian in it. It costs you about 200 Trevas for a gem dust box and 600 Trevas for a tier 1 gemstone box. This method isn't heavily recommended due to how expensive these boxes are, but if you are interested, I will leave links in the description below for people who do want to look up ways to farm Trevas more efficiently. I personally don't do it, but for those of you guys who have more spare time, you can. Last one is the Stellar Chest NPC in Tria. I don't think anyone really does this method because it's pretty expensive and only gives you gem dust boxes, which I suppose is decent if you have to, if you're like in a pinch, but like I said, there are better ways. You can buy up to 5 stellar glasses per day, which means up to 1,000 gem dust from the stellar shop, but it will cost you 1,000,000 mesos per day, and you do have to get the obsidian fragments or whatever those material are. It's just not worth doing. You can do the other methods and you'll get gem dust just fine. Alright, so now that all the methods for getting gemstones and gem dust are out of the way, let's actually show you guys what to do with them. First thing you want to do is to check your inventory and go to the gemstone tab. You'll see a lot of jewels and a lot of powders. Here's what you want to do. find the accuracy gemstones, the offense gemstones, and the gemstones that give the stat relevant to your class. So if you're a berserker, for instance, you keep the red gemstone. If you're a wizard or priest, you keep the wisdom or intelligence gemstone, and so on and so forth. Then open, dismantle, and dismantle every other gem but those 3. You're never going to use them. Most gemstones are untradeable anyway, so you'll never be able to sell them or give them to anyone. You're going to want as much gem dust as possible for later. Offensive gemstones and accuracy gemstones are probably what you're going to want to put on your accessories more often than any other gemstone, because accuracy is a very important stat in this game, and the bonus attack from gemstones can make a big difference later on. To add gemstones to your accessories, you're going to need to open their socket slots first. Normally by default, accessories come with their sockets locked, but the way to unlock this is by clicking on the gemstone socket button in your inventory, and it will open up a window with 3 tabs: Upgrade, Equip, and Unlock Socket. Go to Unlock Socket and all of your accessories will be lined up for you. They explain on the screen how to unlock sockets if you want to pause the video and read that. But the gist of it is that you just have to have duplicate copies of that accessory in order to unlock a socket. To unlock the first one, you just need 2 copies of the same piece. To unlock 2 sockets though, you have to have 2 copies each with 1 socket unlocked. And to unlock the 3rd socket, you have to have 2 copies each with 2 sockets unlocked. By the way, this does get very expensive, so most people usually just stick to 1 or 2 sockets. Then to add a gemstone, go over to the Equip tab and pick an accessory with the socket open on it. The accessories that have a checkmark on the top right are the ones you're currently equipping, which is convenient so you don't have to take them off to upgrade them. I wonder why they never did this in MapleStory 1, because a lot of people would often complain that it's kind of annoying to have to take off your equipment in order to upgrade it, but I think maybe they just did it to prevent dupe exploits or something of the sort. If your character is below 100 accuracy, it might be in your best interest to focus exclusively on accuracy gemstones, since you'll need around 100 for the chaos rays coming out. Otherwise, you can feel free to add the attack stones. The 3rd tab, or rather the first one if we're going left to right, is the upgrade tab. Remember that gem dust you had earlier? You're gonna need those to upgrade gemstones. Upgrading gemstones can be very expensive since you'll need crystal fragments. Actually, you'll need crystal fragments for everything, which can definitely add up in price, plus the tons of gem dust you'll need to upgrade your gems. By infusing gem dust into gemstones, you can get upgraded versions of them, but with a very, very low success rate of only 25%, and there is no way you can increase this rate. Some people suggest not upgrading gemstones manually since they're more costly than they're worth, and I do agree. Plus, since legendary gear is coming out with chaos raids soon, I don't think it's a good idea to put tier 2 and higher gemstones on epic accessories if you upgrade them. If you already have tier 2 gems from boxes, then by all means go right ahead. But I wouldn't recommend upgrading gemstones, just stick to tier 1s for now unless you have a ton of money and dust to spare, because you're going to be replacing them anyway. Conveniently, you can also upgrade gems already equipped onto slots, just like how you can upgrade equipment already equipped onto your character. But overall, the cost of doing gemstones or upgrading them or dismantling them is just extremely expensive right now. Not necessarily because of the lack of gemstones, but rather you just need to spend a lot of meso on getting crystal fragments, which normally you don't need too many when you're enhancing equipment, but with gemstones you need like a couple hundred of them every time. Alright, so that basically wraps it up. Gemstones as a whole are a very primitive system at the moment, but it's important that you get acquainted with this mechanic once they become more plentiful and more impactful in the future. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know in the comment section below and I'll try my best to answer them, but for those of you who are looking for more information regarding gemstones and the like, just be sure to check out the links I have in the video description for a ton of resources on the subject. Also, if I missed anything in particular, you're welcome to point it out so the other viewers do not miss out on it. Thanks again so much for watching. I'm looking forward to the chaos raids. I think every improvement I make ends up making me more excited for this Friday, but I hope you guys are doing your own due diligence on getting stronger as well. But for now, that's going to be it. I look forward to seeing you guys again in the next video. Take care.